to welcome each of you this evening. I'd like to welcome you to the 2013 Candidates Forum. I first of all wanted to just let you know that this forum is hosted by the Guthrie Chamber of Commerce, and I'll be serving as the moderator for this evening's questions. I'd like to thank our Mayor, Chuck Bircher. I'd also like to thank our City Manager, Serena Breland, and our City Council for providing the venue. And I'd also like to thank our Chamber of Commerce President, Mary Coffin, and all those that are members of the Chamber of Commerce for making this city the best that they possibly can. Finally, I'd like to thank tonight's candidates for being here this evening. And I'd like to thank them for their sincerity and willingness to serve. Look forward to this evening. And I'd like to also thank those that are in attendance for being here this evening, as I think it's going to make our city proud. We are all blessed in that we can call this beautiful city home. Each of us is proud of what this city's become, and we look forward to seeing what it's going to be in the future. The purpose of this forum is to better know our candidates that are willing to commit to serving our community so that we as voters can make a better, more informed decision. As far as the voting is concerned, there will be in-person absentee voting this Friday, which is Good Friday, March the 29th. Voting will begin at 8 a.m. to 6 p.m., and that's going to be at the election board. And then on on Monday, it's going to be 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. at the election board. Then on Tuesday, it'll be from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. I'd like to ask that our candidates treat each other with respect, focus on the issues, avoid personal attacks, and act in a professional manner. And if you haven't already done so, if you have a cell phone, please make sure that that cell phone's on silent. That would be appreciated. Each candidate's going to have the opportunity to answer each question, but I may alter the order that I ask those questions in, and I may alter the questions as well, just to kind of keep us all awake. We'll begin the forum with introductions by each candidate, and we'll allow 2 minutes to each candidate for their introduction. We'll then ask follow-up questions to each candidate, and we'll allow 1 minute for those follow-up questions. We've made cards available to those in our audience. And if you would, complete those cards and pass those in. We would appreciate that as well. Due to the number of candidates, and I'm sure the number of questions as well, we're not going to be able to get to each and every one of those questions, but I'd like for it, we'll do our best to get to the ones that we can. Now let's begin with the 2-minute introductions, and I'd like to begin with Vice Mayor Trey Ayers.
Well, thank you, Dan. First, let me thank you for moderating tonight, and then just wish everybody a good evening. I appreciate you guys being here, neighbors and fellow council members and candidates. Tonight I come before you, take a little opportunity to share about myself and my excitement about fulfilling for the position of mayor. We do this for a handsome $1 a year, so it's a commitment to serve the community you love, and I'm certain Mark and the remaining balance of the council and candidates feel the same way. If you don't know who I am, I'm Trey Ayers. Openly admit there are more Treys in the city of Guthrie than any other town I've ever been around. Therefore, when you see my sign, it's just got my last name on it, Ayers Mayor, so it makes it a little easier. But to tell you a little bit about me, some of you may or may not know my father was Tom Ayers, had a Ford dealership here in Guthrie, Oklahoma for a number of years. And even though I didn't grow up in Guthrie, I grew up in Guthrie. That can make sense. I remember spending my weekends sweeping floors in my dad's dealership. I remember sitting back on 89ers Day as a kid in the back of a new pickup truck bed on a new car lot, watching the 89ers spread go by. So I've always had a connection to the city, even though I didn't grow up here. I grew up around here and grew up learning the skills that my dad taught me in business and in life. So I have a family here. I currently have 2 amazing daughters, Madeline Ayers, who's 11, and London Ayers, who's 9. If you don't know London, you will one day. She is a ball of fire, and she'll be around, I promise. And my wife of 17 years, Julie. Thank you. Do we have 2 minutes on the opening statement?
2 minutes.
2 minutes. I'm almost out. Okay. I'm an avid airplane pilot, just so you know. I went to Oklahoma State University and Oklahoma City University, where I graduated with honors. I have some achievements that I've been able to. My time has run out. Okay. In conclusion, why should I be a mayor? Just quickly, some traits that my dad taught me: listen first, be slow to anger, and be pragmatic in your decision making. I think Gandhi said it the best. The best way to find yourself is to lose yourself in the service of others, and that's my commitment here. Thank you.
Thank you, Trey. This is going to be a little bit different tonight with such a timeline, but because of the many candidates that we have, we're trying to adhere to that for each and every one.
I can go on and on. So
Yeah, I think we all could. So next, I'd like to call on Mark Spradlin for your introduction. You are mayoral candidate.
Thank you, Dan. For everybody out there, you may not know me. I moved to Guthrie in 1994, the end of 94. Been here ever since. My wife is Pam. She worked here in the post office for years and then retired. I am a Marine, retired after 21 years of honorable service. After that, came to Oklahoma City, was Director of Education for Construction Trades Association, and then for the post office, I was station manager at Village Station in Oklahoma City before retiring. I've got a master's degree in business. I did that while I was in the Marine Corps. And so with that, I've taught college for Central Texas College and the University of Maryland and the overseas campus. I want to be mayor because I've watched things happen in this town. It's amazing. It's great. There are so many more things we can do. We just need to get together and do them. And I want to be part of that. I want to see that happen. It's so nice to be here in a little town that's got this kind of history behind it. We want to keep that history in here, but we also want the new stuff in here. We need the tax base. We need to see it all come in, and we need a group of people to make that happen. And so if we can get some new business, some new industry in this town and make things work out real well, then we're just going to keep on going. And we're going to take care of our people that work for the city, the policemen, the firemen, the city employees. We want that tax base up so we can pay them what they need to be paid. And while we're doing all this, my job is going to be to listen. I'm going to listen to everything that everybody has to say. And we're going to take that, we're going to work with the city manager. That is who runs this town, this city. We're going to make sure that she's got all the information that we can possibly provide her to do her job and do it well and take care of the citizens of Guthrie. So I'm basically volunteering to be your mayor for the next 2 years. I have no other family in town, no business, no other connections. I owe no favors. I have no hidden agenda. I am strictly here to serve the citizens of the city of Guthrie. Thank you.
Thank you. I'd like to next call on current council member John Wood.
Okay. Thank you for being here tonight. My name is John Wood. It's been my pleasure to serve as a Ward 1 councilman for the last 4 years. I am an 8-year Marine Corps vet. And I served in Desert Storm. I hold a PhD from OSU and have taught political science at Rose State College for 8 years. I'm very involved in Guthrie, and I guess it's because I have a lot of energy, but also because I think participation in our democracy is essential for it to thrive. There are many ways to participate in our local government, and each of you watching this forum is actually participating by learning more about your candidates. And I hope you'll participate on April 2nd and cast your vote in our municipal election. For my part, I've participated by serving on city boards, working with my neighborhood association, joining civic groups, communing with my church, and of course, running and serving for local office. As a professor, education is important to me, and I've enjoyed learning all I can to be more effective as a councilman for you. That includes actively listening to my constituents, and I've spoken with many of you during my term. It also includes formal learning in the classroom, and I've taken 3 additional college courses while on the council. I've also completed 40 hours of coursework through the Oklahoma Municipal League to become a certified municipal officer. I've enjoyed the work of being a councilman, and I've invested time and energy in learning to do that work better. And I hope my fellow Guthrie citizens will elect me to continue putting these skills to work as your councilman. Thank you.
Thank you. I'd like to next call on also candidate for Ward 1, Councilman Mathis Haythorne.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
My name is Mathis Haythorne. I am a Guthrie-born and raised resident. I graduated from Fayetteville High School in 1959. I went into the U.S. Navy, spent 22 years there. I did jet engine mechanic work. I was a supervisor. I managed to shake John F. K's hand at one time or another while serving. I Was married for 47 years to my past wife, which I buried in 2010. I'm currently married to Dr. May Frances Leach Hathorn right now. I had 3 children to the old marriage. They all live in Texas, but I worked civil service for 24 years, and I'm retired now. And I have time to work with Guthrie. As I mentioned, I am a resident of Guthrie. I was born and raised here. If you look at my brochure, it did not say anything about being a politician, but it did say something that I was born and raised here. I delivered papers here, I washed dishes here, I shined shoes here, and so I know a lot about Guthrie, and there's a lot of things that I would like to see Guthrie doing. I'd like to see Guthrie grow more. I'd like to see the elbow grow, and that I heard them talking about it being a walking place. I'd like to see that developed, and I'd like to work on that because that's one of the places that I was born and raised and grew up in and did. And thank you, and I'd like for to have your vote for Ward 1, and I would proudly serve for you, as I did in the military. Thank you.
Thank you, Mathis. From Ward 2, we have 2 candidates tonight. I'd like to call on Brian Bothroyd.
Good evening. Name's Brian Bothroyd, 49 years old. Lived in Guthrie for going on 18 years. Currently vice president of a 30-year-old telecommunications company. Was responsible in 1989 for opening the Oklahoma market for them. Went on to open up Tulsa after Oklahoma City was stable. And then continued on to go and do stabilization in markets within about a 9-state area. What I'm looking to do is bring the knowledge, expertise that I've gained and have been fortunate enough to gain over the last 24 years to the city of Guthrie. I do want to mention my beautiful wife, Sandy, in the back. We've been married 23 years, going on 24. I have 2 great daughters, 22 and 16, both whom have been honor students. The 16-year-old is currently an honor student. Both have went to Guthrie schools since kindergarten. And pretty much, you know, they take all the awards that the Guthrie school system has to offer. We raised them to kind of have no fear and to be able to get out there in the world and make it their own. Wow, that was quick.
It does go by fast, doesn't it?
Anyway, we love Guthrie. We call it home. You call it home. There's a lot that I want to do, and I'm willing to put myself out there and do it, but I'm going to need you to jump in and do it as well. I've got a lot of initiatives on the table right now I'd like to talk to each and every one about. 210-7100 is my cell. Feel free to call and ask anything you want to ask. 210-7100.
Thank you, Brian. Appreciate that. Next, I'd like to call on Jeff Taylor, also from Ward 2.
I'm Jeff Taylor, and I think a lot of you have known me for a long time. I'm a 3rd generation here in Guthrie. My wife, Debbie, and I have been married for 23 years and getting ready to go 24. Sorry, guys, I don't have the military expertise. I did grow up with a Marine in the family, so I kind of know what the Marine Corps is all about. I've served on different boards and committees, and I kind of got to looking and had some people kind of ask me whether I wanted to get involved, and I said yes, I would. I also have before I forget, I have an 18-year-old daughter that's a junior at Guthrie Public Schools. I think that Guthrie is moving in the right direction. I think some things that need to, we want to kind of help move along. There's lots of things that we can do. I know several of the people on the council here, and I think they've got some great ideas. I think they just need to have some stuff, kind of help them move them along and get people's input on what you would like to see done. So that's kind of the reason why I'm kind of running.
Thank you. And then finally, Ward 3 is represented tonight, Council Member Gaylord Z. Thomas.
Good evening. I'm Z. Thomas, Ward 3 City Councilman for the last 4 years. I've come to realize that I've probably downplayed my background so much that many people don't even have a clue of what I did before I came to Guthrie. I don't speak out a lot like some people do. I've learned that people actually listen more if you use your words sparingly. So a brief background, I retired from the Air Force and moved my family here in 2006. We could have went anywhere in the world, but we chose Guthrie, and we love it. We love it here, and that's why we're here. At the time I retired, I was commander of the Air Force Honor Guard in Washington, D.C. Prior to that, I commanded a basic training squadron. I was the lead planner on the NATO mission in Afghanistan, and before that, I'd been a KC-135 navigator and instructor, and basically did a lot of stuff after I graduated from the Air Force Academy. And my daughter, coincidentally, just found out about a week ago that she's getting to go to the academy, so I'm very proud of her for what she's doing. Before I went to the academy, I was actually in the Air Force as an enlisted man. Went to the Defense Language Institute, studied the Korean language, and that was over 30 years ago. I actually enlisted 32 years ago. I'm running for city council again because I want to continue what the city council just has started. I'm not talking about status quo. I do find it interesting that the state is now using the term kicking the can and talking about pension reform and that sort of stuff. But I think the town is in better condition than it was 4 years ago, and I'm hoping that in spite of the economy, we move forward, and I'm proud to serve with the current council and proud of what we've accomplished together, and I want to keep going in that same direction.
Thank you. And then finally, from Ward 3, candidate Linda Craddock.
Hi, I'm Linda Craddock, and I've been a resident of Guthrie for over 35 years. I volunteer at Mercy's Hospital. I serve on the Guthrie Library Board. I'm a retired educator, and I attended the Citizens Government Academy in 2011. And I did the things that most people do, join clubs and so forth. And I have enjoyed life in our laid-back bedroom community for many years. But I'm going to tell you the side that's not heard. I'm here to serve also, but the atmosphere is changing. City Hall's been flexing its muscles, especially in my neighborhood, and it's got a new bullying attitude that many of us just don't appreciate. It's trying to revitalize neighborhoods with threats and fines. It's being intrusive and dictatorial with the people who are paying the bills. So many citizens just aren't very happy with the debt increasing dreams and schemes and favorite themes that they hear from the Guthrie book that was put together by out-of-state planners. The city paid to design our lifestyle. Oklahomans would have done a better job in designing it. And to be fair, some of that plan is good, but some of it's not. And it's the not part that we're not happy with. And we're not happy that the City Hall has adopted the International Property Maintenance Code. They didn't have to. They weren't required to. The state didn't require it. And it gives City Hall control over the inside and the outside of our houses. It's unbelievable. You have to read it to believe it. And it is the law now in Guthrie. So, we don't like it because it sounds like we are almost serfs of the city. It's disrespectful,
Linda.
it's freedom infringing, and it's over.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. If you thought that 2 minutes was quick, wait till we ask them questions that are requiring 1 minute. We'll see how this goes. Each of you received the letter, and we had 3 questions within that letter. And again, I'm going to be asking those questions to you kind of randomly. But I'm going to start with question 1, and I'm going to direct that toward Brian Bothroyd. What did I say? It is 1 minute. Yeah, 1 minute. So I'm going to direct this toward you, Brian, and I'm going to ask you question 1, which is, what has your community involvement been with Guthrie? I realize that this may be slightly redundant, but that is the question.
Well, and it's a good question. I took all my notes and threw them in the trash before I came here, intentionally so. I've volunteered for the triathlon, as my wife did, headed parking, as Jim Algren knows. Did some arts and the Arts and Wine Festival volunteering. Chased beer carts around town. Went to locate them. Built tents, and then actually got to serve the wine. That was a great thing. But the best thing that I did is 11 years ago, my oldest daughter wanted to play softball, and I took her to the softball field, but there was no coach. So in order to play, I had to coach. And so I did, and it was kind of like we called them the Bad News Bears. Never won a game, but the girls got to play.
Thank you. Thank you. Next question I'm going to direct toward Linda. And that question is, what are your goals for the first year in office?
My goals for the first year are to find a way to reduce the animosity that's building against City Hall from the citizens. Of course, because of the attempt to enforce the codes in such a manner. And I would love to see maybe the city council put a potato in the tailpipe of the vehicle that the code inspector uses to prowl the streets, seeking code infractions to stick fines on us. And I'm over, aren't I?
That's 20
I
seconds.
still got 20 seconds. Guthrie's using the wrong approach, charging $200 to $500 in court dates and 6 months probation if you get a letter from the city that says that your grass is 9 inches high instead of 8. 6 months probation. They watch us for 6 months, even if we comply to code, to check us, make sure we don't do it again. That's not friendly. That's not a friendly city.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So we're all on a first name basis, okay?
Yeah.
Thank you. Mathis, your question is, what does your vision for the city of Guthrie look like in 5 years?
Well, I mentioned it a while ago in my introduction. I would like to see the Elbow get to be that walking spot, that spot that we can go to and just have fun, recreation. You know, Guthrie has been a place that I grew up in, and we had a lot of fun. Elbow is a place that we can do that, and I would like to see that. I kind of echo some of the sentiments that Linda's talking about, you know, sticking the tailpipe, the potato in the tailpipe, and stopping that guy from going around giving, you know, citations for whatever it is that they think is an infraction of the Guthrie rules, and to help straighten up some of the Guthrie rules. I believe that I can do that with your vote.
Thank you. Mark, what has your community involvement been with Guthrie?
Member of Kiwanis and the Masons and all the different things they do. I'm the lead volunteer for the Guthrie Community Garden, and this will be the start of our second year at Max 512 Academy for after-school program for kids. I designed and built their garden, and I teach those kids how to plant, how to care for, and what to do with the vegetables that they have during the summertime. I've been working with the Northwest Guthrie Cottonwood Flats Association to do consulting with them on their community garden, and with Pepper's Ranch on their community garden, helping them in what they want to give, teach their kids to grow, and also give to the food bank. I also do a little bit of cooking for people that need a little bit of nourishment when they're sick. If people are gone out of town a little bit too long, I'll go mow their yard. If they need something installed in their house and don't have the money and need a little help, then I'll go help them install whatever it is they need. So whatever the people ask for, I try and give it within reason and go from there.
Thank you. John, what are your goals for the first year in office?
Okay, my goals. Well, I focus on 3 core goals. First is accountable government, strong neighborhoods, and thriving business in Guthrie. As an example of my commitment to accountability, I was the 10th signer of the Freedom of Information Oklahoma Pledge. I would like to see Guthrie to be the first city to have every elected official sign, because I believe transparency is essential in justifying our decisions and being responsible stewards of taxpayer money. My second core value is building strong neighborhoods. By focusing on strong neighborhoods, we increase the security and appearance of our community. They also make me a better council member by allowing me to be tapped into constituents' concerns. Finally, thriving business. As a counselor, I support Guthrie business by supporting infrastructure improvements our businesses need to thrive. That can mean clean and consistent water, ensuring that our wastewater system is compliant with DEQ, street improvements, entryway beautification, and we also have an economic development position that we created at the city.
Thank you. So I said we were on first name. I'm just partially right. Z, it's not first name, okay? But Z,
My middle name?
what does your vision for the city of Guthrie look like 5 years?
Well, you know, just 4 years ago, I doubt many of us could have imagined that our town would be hosting this big event we have coming in September with Mumford and Sons coming. I actually see the seed from our efforts starting to take off just a little now, and it's actually pretty exciting. I look forward to seeing ODOT complete the new viaduct over the railroad tracks and to the west side, and I realize that's not our project, that's ODOT. A lot of people think that's the city, it's not, but we are pushing them and prodding them along to kind of try to speed that up. I'm actually just looking for some real growth in the near future because, you know, the current city council has had a vision, developed an actual strategy, and made some important decisions. We need to continue to educate people with our academies, the Citizens Academy, Police Academy, Fire Academy, and do some of those kinds of things that stop these silly questions that we get that waste a lot of time.
Thank you.
We're not the school board.
Okay, Jeff, what's your community involvement been with Guthrie?
Oh, wow. I was on the school board for 4 years. As the second vice president, I was also chairman of the hospital board. I've been involved in 89er celebration, whether either helping my father or helping in the parade. We've done, my wife and I have done some stuff locally with the Arts Council. We've worked at the Pollard Theater, involved with the dinner we have just before we have the 89er celebration on Tuesday night. So I've done a little bit of everything. And then, as several have said, you know, probably shouldn't have been involved in anything. So.
Is that it?
That's it. That's it, really.
Thank you. Vice Mayor Ayers, Trey, let's put it like that.
I got 5
What's your
minutes,
what's your community involvement been with Guthrie?
Well, that's a great question. When I first moved into town, I was on I sat on the board for the Chamber of Commerce. That was a good time. I've also currently serve on the board SAC committee, which is the School Advisory Committee for St. Mary's School. The most obvious is I serve on the city council. I've been on the council for 6 years. Out of that 6 years, 4 years I've served as a vice mayor, and I was chosen by the existing council at the time, which I was honored to serve that post. And I also served on the planning commission prior to the council, and I'll never forget this. John Gummerson, one of my local heroes here, I'll never forget him saying, Trey, I think running for city council is a great idea. I'm pretty sure he's laughing now and thinking, it really got him into that mess. But so those are some of the items that I've served on here in town, and it was important for us when we moved into the community to get plugged in, try to make a difference for our community. So thank you.
John, what has your community involvement been with Guthrie?
Okay, well, I've been a city councilor for 4 years. I'm on the Streets Committee where I'm the chair. I'm on the Transportation Authority as the council liaison. And beyond the council, though, I'm co-founder of the First Capital Neighborhood Solutions, Highland Park Neighborhood Association Board, the Logan Community Services Board, the American Legion, the Trinity Episcopal Church Vestry, and I'm also on the Guthrie Noon Lions. And look for me again this year. I'll be in the 89er parade, and I'll be wearing a lion costume. So, I'm also on the Chamber of Commerce member, and I did Chamber Coffees, and I've done the annual banquet for a number of years. I make a point to serve, support of various festivals, citywide events, local fundraisers, and my wife Bonnie and I make a point to shop and dine at the local Guthrie merchants, and attend Pollard productions when we can.
Thank you. Jeff, what does your vision for the city of Guthrie look like in 5 years?
Well, I'd like to see our roads continue to go out. After visiting with several of the people out in the community, they'd like to have a little bit more police protection. They'd like to have a few more of the cars kind of come through the neighborhoods. It's one of the major things I've had with people calling me and asking me about that. Water is going to be a critical thing. I feel like that we drink it every day, we use it every day. It's in your life. I don't know how many people have been out to Guthrie Lake. I know it's getting low. I know we've been talking about pumping water back into it to fill it up. I think it's an idea that needs to continue moving along, but I think we need to address that issue later on too. It's something like either building a new lake or doing something, but I think we've got some other projects, even around Liberty Lake. So I'd like to see those things continue as well.
Thank you. Mark, if you would tell me about your goals for the first year in office.
For the first year, I want to try and get a database or a list of people that want to volunteer to help out in Guthrie. We have, even if they want to serve on the boards that are working with the city right now, we need to let more people know that these things are out there. Let them get in here and get involved a little bit. A lot of times we fill the position so quickly that no one has the time from the community to really have a chance to get involved, and they really want to do it. So we need to let them know. We need to get them to go ahead and tell us they want to be part of it. And so when that opening gets here, we're going to call them. We're going to talk to them. And we're going to try and get a group of business leaders together. We need to get talking to some other businesses and industries from outside the town and get them more interested in Guthrie and get them to come in here. And so we want some people that are interested in making this little city grow. And we're going to get that group, and we're going to talk to these outside businesses and get them here in town and make this city grow with a better tax base. So,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mathis, can you tell me what your community involvement's been with Guthrie?
Well, first off, I have attended the Citizens Academy here. That's what got me involved in government here. And secondly, I like the can-do attitude of Guthrie. First off, they had my name spelled wrong, and they got it fixed right away. And that's what I can do for you. That's what I want to do for Guthrie. Thank you.
Z, what are your goals for the first year in office?
Well, I answered that kind of different. My first year, I actually did author the city council's code of ethics, and the council approved it. I'm pretty proud of that. Also proud of the actual planning efforts that this council's made. I have a planning background, so I've kind of pushed them along what a real plan is. I've actually kind of held their feet to the fire on a lot of that kind of stuff. We made a lot of progress on the plan. Things don't happen accidentally, and they don't happen overnight. So simply put, my goals for the next term include seeing us continue down that progressive path, achieve the growth we all desire, improve more of our ordinances to help improve our property values, and help attract growth.
Thank you. Linda, what does your vision for the city of Guthrie look like in 5 years?
In 5 years, I'd like to see that the dictatorial reign of control of people's property is over, that the city's changed direction, that it's settled down, that it's overcome its Edmund envy and become the best that it can be, that I'd like to see that the city's regained respect for the citizens and has become more citizen sensitive, that it has respect for the people that are paying the bills. I want to see citizens involved and working with city government, planning strategies to solve problems with Okie ingenuity, not out-of-state ingenuity. And I'd like to see it become a historically debt-free city by tightening its belt.
Thank you. Trey, what are your goals for the first year in office?
Well, I think one of my largest mantras is to continue our efforts to support our local businesses. Not to take any away from the chamber. We have a wonderful chamber here that does their job, but to be able to, for the city to help validate the local existing businesses to help promote future business. When future businesses come looking, they want to talk to the existing businesses. I think we need to continue that. I want to make sure that we continue tracking our strategic budgeting and forecasting, both numbers and projects. We need to know where we're going financially forward as we move forward. This is the primary function of an elected official, to be able to be good stewards of the cash that comes in on your behalf. I always say a company typically has a board of 7 board members. I have over 10,000 board members looking over our shoulder. I think it's an important point. And then also to continue our transparency with the implementation of the Citizens Government Academies that we put in place. We have 2 candidates tonight that were part of that group. And I think that's important that we're getting people plugged in that aspect. So I want to continue, that we continue those programs. Thank you.
Thank you. Brian, what does your vision for the city look like in 5 years?
In 5 years, I look to beautify is what I'd like to see happen within this city. I hear some different comments about that out there, but I've put about 400 miles in the last 4 days in Guthrie alone, going and lifting up the rug and seeing what's under it. And some of it is real pretty and it's beautiful. But a lot of that beauty has to look out on dilapidation and ruin. And it's time for that to be over. Business, we need a lot of business. That's what I do. I know how to see business. I know how to talk to presidents, CEOs. I know how to close the deal with them. I can give my contacts to whoever wants it within economic development. I've dealt with thousands of business in Oklahoma. There's no reason we can't reach out to them and see if they'll come to our town. That's what needs to happen here. It needs to be business focused, but the first side of it needs to be beautified. Because if we don't beautify, businesses aren't coming in, other than restaurants.
Thank you. We're down to the last question on the pre-formatted questions before we get into the ones that are coming from the audience. So I'll begin this with Mathis, and I'll ask you, what are your goals for the first year in office?
I will echo a lot of the things that have been said tonight. One thing I do like exercising, I like walking. I've noticed a run of dogs, wild dogs in the area, in my area alone. And as I walk, I see this, and this is one of the things that I would like to get a better handle on, to keep our citizens safe so that they can go out and walk. I've noticed that some of my walking companions are not walking because of this. And so I want to get out and help them. I want to be a part of the business structure here, of overseeing the businesses and seeing that we're getting the right people into Guthrie and helping Guthrie to grow. I want us to be somebody on the map, as it already is. Over the 22 years that I spent in the service, I just announced Guthrie. Guthrie where? It's north of Oklahoma City, but it's my hometown. And it's where I live, and it's where I want to see this place grow and be a part of the whole country. Thank you.
Thank you. Trey, what does your vision for the city of Guthrie look like in 5 years?
I'll just re-echo continuing to support our local existing businesses. I think that is so detrimental to being able to promote new business growth. I'd love to see us reignite the ambassadors program here in town so we can connect with the folks that are visiting. Again, develop a plan for existing parks, rec centers. I know that those are big dreams. It takes a lot of things to do, but how we work and continue to strive for that 5 years from today. And I also want Guthrie to be known on the world stage for what it can do and for what it can do and not for what it's missed over time. I think that's an important aspect, that we continue to progress forward. And that's a proactive yet pragmatic thinking process. And I think that's important. And also, the last thing I'd like to do is I would like to improve our communications. I'd like the citizens, as we move forward, to implement a State of the City presentation annually. I think it'd be an important part to be able, from the mayor's position and the city council's position, because it's not just the mayor, it's a council of mayors, to be quite honest with you. And it's a council of leaders, and we need to present to you annually what the city's strategic plan is moving forward. So thanks.
Thank you. Jeff, what are your goals for the first year in office?
Well, I kind of echo what they've all said. It's something that we need to do is go out and try to get new businesses in. I know we've got several new businesses, I believe, that's come in just in the last, last couple of weeks. We've got a new barbecue place, and I don't remember what the other one was, but those are the kind of things we want to help the chamber if that's what they need help at. Whatever we need to do there, I think that's the kind of things that's going to bring business in. We want to keep our tax base at where we're at now. You don't want to get too high on our taxes. I know that's some of the complaints through people I've heard as well, is that they, was it 9 3/4 here a few years ago, and they were not real happy about that. So, but my wife and I, we do shop here locally, and that's something that I want to, encourage everybody to do. I think that helps Guthrie out more than anything, is if you shop locally, it really makes a difference. The people in the southern part of the county, I don't want to complain about them, but they don't shop here. They go to Edmond or somewhere else. So, anybody that wants to come here and shop, we want to encourage that.
Thank you. Linda, what has your community involvement been with Guthrie?